Going live now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time of the day wherein we're going to deep dive into another interesting panel discussion wherein we focus on a digital world crafted by cloud. We've got a set of speakers all set to share their insights with you all, and I hope all of you are ready to gather some food for thought at this time of the day. So first up, let me introduce our session moderator. We have with us Mr. Francis Rodrigues, Senior Vice President, E-Commerce and Digital Marketing, HDFCLife, who's a results-driven professional with a proven track record and a multi-sector experience of more than 15 years across financial services, FMCG, as well as consumer durables. Now, he's going to be ensuring that we will be gathering insights, not just from him, but also from fellow panelists, which means it's time for me to also introduce our panelists for all of you. We have with us Mr. Srinivas Kollipara, Chief Information and Digital Officer, L&T IDPL. Srinivas, in fact, is a strategic technology and results-driven executive with more than 25 years of global and Indian experience with skill set in handling varied leadership roles. That also brings me to our next thought leader joining in. We have with us Mr. Sunil Sarat, Senior Vice President and Global Head Cloud, Data Center and Applications, Microland Limited. In fact, Sunil is a technology leader with strong industry perspective, built offerings and practices, especially in emerging technologies. Well, joining them, we also have with us Ms. Nupur Maity, Head Cloud Applications, Exide Industries Limited, and she comes with a prolific experience of more than 16 years and is also a certified SAP S/4HANA and SAP Cloud Platform, and has also worked in agile projects as well as in Scrum framework. That brings me to our next speaker. We have with us Sandeep Gupta, Director and Head Digital COE, Kearney. In fact, he's an accomplished digital leader with more than 22 years of experience. His expertise also lies in IT strategy, digital strategy, robotics, process automation, artificial intelligence, blockchain, to name a few. Let's also continue with the marathon of speakers joining us this afternoon. We have with us Mr. Raj Patra, Global IT Head, Reckitt Benckiser, India, who's a seasoned and experienced IT leader with life science and consumer healthcare domain and enterprise systems technology experience. We also have with us Mr. Narendra K. Saini, Chief Digital and Data Officer, Lupin Limited. He's a well-known digital transformation leader and strategist in the space of IoT and digital technologies, who comes with more than 22 years of experience. May I also inform you all that we also have with us Shivani Venkatesh, Head Insights Analytics and AI COE with RBL Bank Limited, a technocrat with more than 15 years of experience in the areas of AI, ML, data monetization, and strategy. So it'll be interesting to gather Shivani's insights as well in this entire discussion. And that leaves me with our final panelist. We have with us Mr. Syed, Yousuff, Head IT, Infra, Cloud and Platforms, Robert Bosch Engineering and Business Solutions, who comes with more than 25 years of experience in driving value for customers. And in fact, his experience covers enterprise, IT, SAP Cloud and data centers. So on that note, let's gather all the nuggets of thoughts coming in from our thought leaders. And with that, let's deep dive into our next panel discussion. Here we go.
Live now.
Thank you, Kavya, and thank you, Kamikaze, and thank you all the eminent panelists who come from different, different industries, all gathered together today to have this interesting discussion. And most of all, thank you, our dear audience, and hope we will have an engaging, the next 45 to 50 minutes with you. To start with, our topic given today is basically digital transformation crafted by cloud, or the digital world crafted by cloud. And today, cloud computing is playing, a very, very dominant role in a lot of areas across different industries, and is enabling and powering digital transformation in each of them. So, let's hear, straight off the bat from each of the eminent panelists here today. What are some of the interesting things that cloud, computing is doing to drive digital transformation, and specifically what are the key areas in which they're kind of leveraging it in their respective industries. So let me start with the ladies in the panel. So maybe Nupur, we can start with you and move across the table.
Yeah, thank you, Francis, and welcome all the participants and all the contributors here. As we know that cloud is actually the foundation for the today's agile, digitally transformed business world. In this digital economy, we can say that enterprises not only look for new technologies which can support their ongoing business processes, but also sort of competitive advantage over the competitors. So here comes our cloud computing, which has many advantages, which actually helps in driving this digital transformation. We have many advantages from the cloud computing, needless to mention, like the IT costs reduce considerably, and we can always scale up and scale down according to our requirements. And our collaborative efforts have also become very efficient if we go into the cloud. So there are many advantages which is actually driving this digital transformation. Let us quickly look into how our organization has used it in a quite interesting way. I'll start with the more innovative ones, which are actually rare everywhere. We have transformed the field service management into something, what you say, very responsive kind of thing. Our technicians actually carry something, an app which connects them to our direct application entire database. So what happens, we respond to our customers, we give a more responsive service to our customers. And not only that, suppose we also have the crowdsourcing for the technicians. Like suppose we know the specific skill is needed. So for that, we take from that technician only. We can do it on real time, and the technician on the field itself can update it into our system, like how it is going on. So that is one kind of thing, field service management, which has become very possible due to the cloud strategies and the cloud technologies. These days, we also have the dealer management system, wherein we actually help all the dealers collaborate with us, and also whatever they are doing. Even we have some reward system, how they are doing in the dealer thing. Needless to mention, we also have the other things like the chat bots and the employee offboarding, onboarding. All these things also become possible due to this cloud computing, which is actually driving this digital transformation. Yeah, thank you, Francis.
Thanks, Nupur. I think we have the other lady who's already in. Shivani, would you like to kind of tell us about how your organization is leveraging cloud, and what are your views around cloud driving digital transformation? Oh, I think Shivani's having some trouble connecting. We'll come back to her. Maybe Raj, could I turn to you, please? Raj, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. And thanks, Team Benckiser, for arranging this esteemed panel. So I think cloud computing is not something that is new. I think it is in the midst of a lot of digital transformation that is happening across the industry, right? So even in Reckitt today, we are in the middle of a lot of these exciting transformations. We are using multiple SaaS and IaaS-based innovative solutions to help our business gain competitive advantage day by day. Some of these are powerful data lake implementations. Some of them are consumer insights-based capabilities, digital lab, twins, and multiple compliance-driven platforms as well to gain the agility and efficiency features of the cloud. Today, cloud is also helping us achieve a lot of analytical transformations, functional programming, and also is offering a lot of these low-code platforms, which is helping organizations like Reckitt and many similar ones launch enterprise-ready products rapidly, right? In fact, the scale at which the whole digital transformation powered by the cloud is so massive that as of 2020, we have found that companies are almost spending to the tune of $1.4 trillion, which is already being spent on all these transformation efforts, and citing consumer experience or customer experience as one of the top business functions to benefit from this spending. And this number is only going to go up. So almost like more than $2 trillion will be expected to spend by 2022. Now, looking at some of the most exciting transformation we here in Reckitt, given one of the most biggest deterrent during the pandemic era, where we have found how our cloud backbone and the way in which we want to make ourselves ready is helping us, right? So there are multiple compliance of the future solutions and systems powered by the SaaS platforms. We are now looking at, we're either in the middle of deploying them or we are in the middle of these transformations, right? These are helping us use or leverage the availability, scalability, and the robustness features of the cloud to offer some more agile way and efficient way of working for the whole functions. We're also using some of these leading cloud platforms to achieve our enterprise data and integration capabilities, thus enabling us to make better internal and external decisions. And there are a lot more other exciting capabilities that the business today is also able to leverage through this different cloud platform, which is also making a big difference to the way today we see at our product roadmaps, the way in which we want to derive powerful insights, and also be able to leverage some of the exciting AI ML trends in order to make more better decisions and impactful decisions, right? The whole crux is using technology as a driver to reduce the TCO day by day, but again, offering more value, right? So I think these are some of the salient points I can add.
Well, thanks, Rajan. $2 trillion, that's quite a bit, right? So let me turn to Sandeep next. Sandeep, would you like to tell us about your views on cloud driving digital transformation?
Sure, Francis, thanks. See, the question is very interesting, how cloud computing is driving digital transformation. I have seen this cloud journey upfront and close for so many years, and it was always, why do you want cloud? And you ask any organization a few years back, it was always, I want to reduce my cost. And the second is, I want to convert my CapEx into OpEx. These were the two, predominant themes which organizations always said when they wanted to drive cloud adoption. I think we have come a long way. Now, cloud is driving the digital transformation. It is the backbone of driving so many initiatives. Now, if you ask, and again, I come from a consulting background, so I see various organizations and learn, and advice as to what they are doing in their cloud journey. See, most of the organization, and if you think about the use cases, they all will relate to AI, IoT, or analytics. All of them are powered by cloud. This is kind of, the basics now. If you want any of these use cases, cloud has to be the backbone. But apart from these, some of the interesting trends or use cases which we are seeing is on-demand subscription-based services on cloud. You name it, for example, disaster recovery as a service, security as a service, desktop as a service. This is the flexibility organizations are getting to pay on an hourly basis. Just think about desktop as a service. Your entire workstation, everything is delivered to your employee only for the amount of time they actually use their laptop, 8 hours, 10 hours. You only pay for that. You don't have to pay for the hardware upgrades. You don't have to pay for the technology getting returned. So this is the power which cloud is actually bringing to the organizations right now.
Wow. Something as tangible as a desktop being offered as a service. Excellent. Let me kind of move. I see Shivani has now joined us. Shivani, would you like to speak about your views on how cloud is driving digital transformation?
Sure. Thanks, Francis, and a very good afternoon to all my esteemed co-panelists and all of the folks in the audience as well. So I think I think the cost of experimentation has reduced. I think this is one of the biggest reasons why today, cloud is driving transformation. One of the interesting things that we are doing is that, from about 2 years back when, the focus was more on workload shifts and therefore cost reduction aspect. Now, when we are looking at cloud projects, we are basically, defining a set of tech, KPIs, and then a set of business KPIs that we are looking to, sort of achieve. What's happening is that, cloud is helping us to drive digital transformation in a very measurable way. So, to give examples, it's making it easier, to be able to kind of run experiments to measure the impact and then to quantify the benefits, and therefore, whether it's ROI on marketing spends or whether it's, kind of better customer lifetime value, or whether it's lower cost to customer engagement, customer communication, I think it's becoming much more quantifiable. So also, therefore, this is help to further accelerate the pace of transformation. It becomes easier to sort of make those business cases and accelerate the adoption of cloud. So I think that's also there. That's the measurability is a key benefit. And then, of course, the ability to make stepwise investments. So as business grows, investments grow along with it. Therefore, it makes it even more attractive from the perspective when today most of our experiments on the digital side are very are not step functions in terms of the fact that suddenly things take off and then you have a huge acceleration that's happening. So cloud, of course, we know technically is able to support it, but even from a cost and financial modeling perspective is able to support this kind of a quick scale. I think these are some of the newer things that over the last 2-3 years we have been experiencing, and this has basically brought cloud to the boardroom and cloud very close to business as well. It's no longer limited to the world of technology. I think those boundaries are now broken, and it's come into every business head's day-to-day decision making and day-to-day conversations.
Right. Thanks, Shivani. I think, absolutely right. I think it's moved very much from only being an IT point to almost being a part of business increasingly. So let me move to Mr. Yousuff. Mr. Yousuff, would you like to kind of tell us about your views on, how is cloud driving digital transformation and how are you leveraging?
Thanks, Francis. Great to be here. Thanks for having me. I strongly believe cloud is the foundation for digital transformation. Today, the hybrid cloud and the multi-cloud approach has sort of become an umbrella buzzword and a basis for digital strategy of every transforming organization. While it started with enabling employees to work via the digital workplace remotely, it started off by ensuring high availability of all the services for organizations by moving their existing workloads to cloud, that the focus was more on reducing the TCO. But the real value comes in when they start building new transformative and modern applications on cloud on a global scale and with a shorter time to market. As one of the colleagues clearly mentioned, that there are specific ROIs and there are specific metrics which are very, very important in this transformative approach. We as an organizations, as a consulting organization, we are also helping our customers in this, in this digital transformation. While there are endless possibilities through a connected world, be it connected mobility, connected manufacturing, connected health, and an interconnected supply chain mesh. While the focus is not just on building new business models, but also to create better experiences for the customers, for employees. But it's also about sustainability, staying relevant. Yeah. What do you think?
Nice. Thanks, Yousuff. Now, may I ask Mr. Srinivas, maybe you can speak about how you are leveraging cloud in your respective organization.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. See, market. Now, it becomes very easy when a small size, mid-size, or any other big company to actually try out many, to invest in every technology that ML related, analytics related, data aware. So you name a thing, practically it doesn't make sense to invest on-prem. Now with the cloud, I think it's just giving the entire environment to you to try out anything, whatever you want, extending the business limits. You can try out various business scenarios, integrate and try out various things. So you need not invest huge on your hardware or on your softwares. You can just try out whatever you want because everything is available in the cloud platform now. Every provider, most of the providers are giving entire things, whether it's computing, storage, security or containers, serverless part, databases. So IoT, data warehousing lakes, or data transformation migrations, you name a thing, I think they have entire gamut of platform available to you. So they have a free account, you can try out few of things. You can create a small instances when you have a new concept in mind. Instead of investing heavily on your in a capex investment, you can just try out, do something. If it works out, then you can actually expand it. If it is not working out, you can just collapse it. And then I think you're failing fast with absolutely very minimal investments. I think in that way, cloud is really helping every company, whether it's a startup or big or medium enterprises, to scale up, think beyond, come with a lot of new options. And I think that's the way it will go on. We strongly recommend the cloud for them to use this entire platform. Even in L&T IDPL, we are heavily using cloud for various applications like SAP, and we have an operations and maintenance apps. We have an AI video-based analytic apps, which we are planning to integrate automatically. We have a geo-based applications to look at our highways and the power transmission lines. So a lot of critical applications we are all hosting in cloud, and we are trying a lot of new things, like I said, R&D and fail fast. So whether it's a low-code platform or AI platform or analytics platform, BI platform, or conversion of your existing storages, how it would like, if I have my legacy application, whether it would make sense to move into the cloud and try out, you just try out. If I have a SQL Server, for example, any databases, I am paying heavily on-prem. Is it easy to migrate on existing open sources databases or currently available databases? Whether it's a resilience is there, flexibility is there, scalability is there, I think you can try out everything. And also it becomes very much easy for you to set up your business continuity plans, multiple backups of your databases or your data. I think this is a way to go. It's a long journey. Earlier, it was every company says cloud. They said, oh, cloud, no security, we have issues, data, concerns, a lot of, I think. But now I think it's opening up. Most of the companies are moving to cloud. So that's it. Back to Francis.
Thanks, Srinivas. Sunil, if I may come to you and look for your views.
Thanks, Francis. Like our co-panelists have talked about so far, there are many ways in which cloud drives digital transformation, right? So it could be faster time to market, ability to create innovative business models, risk reduction, efficiency, scalability, cost. The list is very long. But let me quickly talk about a couple of them. Number one, faster time to market. Cloud native companies, if you look at them today, they can release code into production hundreds of thousands of times per day, depending on the need, using end-to-end automation. It enables them to respond to market demands and quickly test what does and doesn't work, allowing them to fail fast and fail safe. I guess Shivani was talking about that as well. As a result, companies that have adopted cloud platforms report that they can bring new capabilities to market about 20 to 40% faster, which means about 50%, close to 50% faster than the competition. That's a truly remarkable way of driving digital transformation. The second one is ability to create innovative business offerings. Each of the hyperscalers, be it AWS, Microsoft, Google, or all of them, in fact, offer hundreds of native services and marketplaces that provide access to third-party ecosystems. These services, when leveraged, can rapidly evolve and grow, and not only provide basic things that we talk about, like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, but very advanced functionalities such as facial recognition, as an example, NLP, quantum computing, data aggregation. So all these abilities can help enterprises create innovative business offerings. Coming to Microland, we are a cloud-first company, and we are the business of IT services. So we leverage the latest and greatest technologies offered by cloud, predominantly around areas of analytics. We have our AIOps platform that's built on leveraging cloud, which we use heavily to leverage our to transform our business. Also, since I bring in a service provider perspective as well, let me take an example of one of our customers who is a health insurance provider. They moved their systems that help interact with the healthcare providers to cloud because the ability to accelerate the onboarding of new healthcare providers, which is actually directly linked to their revenue top line.
has significantly increased. Their ability has significantly increased. Therefore, leading to direct increase of their top line as well. Back to you, Francis.
Thanks, Sunil. I think the opening salvo has been fired, and I think from whatever I hear, I think there is almost nothing that is not being touched upon and transformed by cloud. But let's come to the some of the key critical areas. So I think one of the pieces that everybody is worried about today is how our customer journey is being transformed. I mean, each organization is trying to kind of map its customer journeys, figure out how to make them more frictionless, more seamless along the way. So, what are let me kind of come to Nupur back again and ask her, what are some of the key elements that cloud is doing to transform consumer journeys, and what are some of the key metrics, that we are doing to kind of track this transformation?
Yeah, thanks, Francis. Yeah, on this, I would say this cloud-based applications have transformed the customer journeys. But it is also interesting to note here that in this journey, the responsible person who has done this is actually the customer themselves. What is happening? We had the customers earlier were offline. We used to serve the customers were offline. Suppose we are delivering a product or we are responding to a person, that is all offline people. Now we have customers who are always connected, and their demand is also like that. Like they want things whenever they are going on the go, they want to be connected and need status of their products, say product updates, or suppose I want to see the latest news, what is happening in cricket, what is happening, what is the political news. So on the go, I can see on my app itself, I can see. This is one of the things I think we have transformed heavily from the offline mode of thing, and it is very advantageous for all the customers. It has transformed the customer journeys. And I'll also say, like giving an example, like if I'm going to a bank, say I have some queries or to anywhere for any product query, I have to stand in a long queue waiting for my turn. But now we have the conversational AIs, wherein I can simply speak also, like one of our colleagues was saying, like the NLP helps us. We can say, ask the questions, we get the answer readily in that way. So that virtual assistance also gives us the level of customer satisfaction, which was not earlier much possible. Even if we go how we are shopping these days, we do shopping earlier, how we were doing. Now people do not have so much time. So how we do some from Amazon, say, and while doing anything, we can also get the product feedback there itself. Even based on my personal choice, I can see some recommendations from Amazon. So these reviews are coming there lively. And suppose while also traveling or on the go, I want to just order something, that is also in my mobile. It is synced, so I can simply order from there. So that is a kind of transformation these cloud-based applications have made. Other areas also, like Zomato, you can see you want to order from a restaurant from where you have never taken. So that also you can see the reviews from others. So these are all only a few which I would say definitely transformed the customer journey. Matrix, I would say the main thing is the customer experience, how it has dramatically improved. The ease of use, you do not have to show anybody how to use the apps these days. It is so user friendly that we can use it so properly. And I would say the delivery on time, or as soon as you deliver, you are getting some results, you're getting the feedback, everything. So this is how the cloud-based applications have transformed the customer journeys. Thank you.
Thank you, Nupur. Raj, may I come to you and look at your views in terms of how do you think the customer journeys are being transformed using cloud?
Definitely, I think I can talk it from an organization level where many of these are very relational to some of the business transformations that I was talking about earlier. Now, when as a CPG industry and as a consumer healthcare industry, we are very focused on how our end consumers are using our products, right? It's very important to us how they inquire, how they lodge complaints about our products, and how we also release qualitative products into the market. So in terms of the customer journey for us, we have been very careful about understanding how this impacts us when we want to use some nimble ways of interacting with these end consumers, and how the way we also collect information about it, right? Today, you look at any startup or you look at any of the new age products that is being launched, all is powered by the cloud, right? We are very quick in collecting the information. We are very quick in understanding the kind of information that we have collected and do trend analysis on it, right? So very relatable to the customer journey we have had, that the way in which our end customers and consumers have tried to inquire about our products, we have been able to understand the trend reporting and the ways in which how these different type of products perform in a particular geography, in a particular segment, or in a particular category, right? So in those ways, that has been helping us acquire more customers. It has also helped us strengthen our e-commerce channels. And also, it has also helped us understand the ways in which consumer preferences are changing, right? So very key matrices that I can think of is in all these different solutions, the ways in which we are able to turn around different reports, the ways in which we are able to release some of the new features, the ways in which all of these global solutions are more and more available, and the ways in which also year on year we're able to bring down these costs and release more features and more add value are some of the driving matrices that is helping us drive our customer journeys internally.
Thanks, Raj. When we speak about journeys, I think that's one very important area, but also it's equally important to figure out, how do we build trust? I mean, ultimately customers will, as journeys become more digital, customers would, look for some signals of trust and kind of use that to build both digital trust as well as customer loyalty. So staying with you, Raj, what do you think, are some of the ways brands are trying to do this?
Absolutely. I think this is a very, very relevant topic today that is being discussed, right? Every customer or every consumer that today uses any of the cloud-based product is very worried about the data. With the pandemic, we have always seen that the ways in which every one of us as an end user have adopted the cloud and the digital platforms more and more, right? Even in the pandemic, we have learned that the impact that the retail, consumer, and CPG industry have had is very lasting. Some very new age innovative solutions have also been able to get implemented because of this scenario. So customer preference, customer flexibility, and personalization is very key building the digital trust. I think it's very important to also for the brands as an organization to build the customer loyalty around these factors. So the ability now is to deliver a personalized customer experience, which relies heavily on this retailer's customer understanding, which is where this customer data platforms comes into shape, right? So some points that I can add in order to say how do we maintain this digital trust and also enhance our customer brand loyalty is like we respect the customer privacy, and this is all being mandated through laws like GDPR or California Consumer Privacy Act. All these things, how does it all help us enable the modification of these different cloud platforms to enhance the tailoring and the personalized data experience? Because today 80% of the online users are already feeling comfortable in sharing the data. And now this also segues into the kind of transparency and the mutual trust we need to build, because almost like 70% of the users do not even know how the data gets processed at the end of the day, right? So it's very critical for us to offer that personalized experience and help them enhance or maintain that trust and the branding experience we are offering. And on top of it, I think with all this data that is coming in, we are able to now understand better the customer lifetime value, as I think one of the panelists would also, I think Nupur was also trying to mention, and how do we apply intelligence through these AI ML techniques to better understand our customers and tailor our offerings around it. So I think these are some of the things that I can add.
Thanks, Raj. Maybe let's look at a different industry perspective also. I know, Mr. Yousuff, you've been actually helping your clients across, helping build trust as well as building trust for your own organization. Could you tell us a little bit about how you guys go around doing that?
Absolutely, Francis. It's a very, very relevant question today. While we have to understand that while the digital transformation is a game changer and a lot of disruption is happening in the industry, This digital age has also changed the way how society, enterprises, people, machines, devices interact. The digital trust is very much akin to a trust in a real world, the way we transact, two individuals transact, right? And that transaction is based on trust. And the digital trust is no different. The digital trust requires credentials, it ensures authenticity. At the same time, the digital trust, I say, is also the currency of the digital economy. If there is no trust, there is no transaction. As Nupur rightly mentioned, that you don't go to a particular application or don't go to a particular site where you don't have that trust, right? So there's no trust, there's no transaction. If that's the kind of mandate you have, the brands are today marrying people, devices, data, systems to create and verify the digital identity. And that digital identity could be of people, it could be of devices, it could be of enterprises as well. So how brands should empower? In my opinion, the only way that to build the trust here is the brand should empower the customers to decide, to let them decide the way the data and their digital identity is being used. No, I don't want my digital identity to be misused. So this has to be sort of a decentralized approach. You need to start brands or organizations to start empowering the customers to help them decide the way that their digital identity is being used. And brands should also be willing to invest and take ownership and accountability of that digital trust. And companies, if you see today, who have been very, very successful are those companies who have earned the digital trust. And that has helped them build and retain loyal customers. And that's very, very relevant and important today. Over to you, Francis.
Thanks, Mr. Yousuff. So let's kind of move to, we've seen that cloud is basically touching almost all areas of technology as well as of business endeavor. And we've seen so many different use cases across different industries, right? So what are some of the new developments? What are the places where it's really pushing the boundaries of digital transformation? What are some of the most innovative things that companies are trying to do? Sandeep, maybe we come to you and hear your views on this.
Sure, Francis. And again, a great question. Sometimes when we think about cloud-based technologies, innovation, we straight away jump into, what are the platforms, low code, no code, container, some of the analytics platform, etc. We straight away jump into the technology. But again, I think if we just go a level up and start thinking, cloud is just an enabler. I think in future, what will be more important? You will get the platform. You can actually put in all the technologies. But what will be the most important or the critical aspect for organizations will be how to manage the cloud itself. And again, if I take two important or very basic concepts, which we hear a lot, but again, these are super important. One is multi-cloud and the second is hybrid cloud, right? Both of them, if we think about, okay, very simple, multi-cloud is you deploy your workloads on more than one cloud provider. But again, if you start thinking about, do you have a strategy, an organization, does they have a strategy for multi-cloud? Now, if you have two service providers, AWS and Azure, let's take an example. There's a lot of complexities which starts getting added in terms of the apps, etc., which are getting deployed. There are some specific apps and code which will talk only to these cloud service providers. So that is one part from a technology perspective. The second aspect, which is very important, is from a pricing and billing perspective. They both have their different tools of how to manage pricing and billing. You need a comprehensive and a holistic view of your entire cloud in terms of where it is getting used. According to a survey, even though we think that cloud actually saves our cost, 30 to 35% of your cost is actually lost through cloud if you don't manage, because people think in different departments that I can get a cloud, I can buy cloud solution and nobody tracks how much they have bought and how much are they releasing. So again, the first concept, the multi-cloud, very simple. You need to develop cloud agnostic services. Again, containers, Kubernetes, these would be very important. Organizations need to have a strategy upfront around this. Otherwise, you will get stuck with service providers, and down the line, it will be very costly to come out. Number one. Number two, again, on the hybrid cloud is that you need to have a third-party tool which kind of gives you a holistic overview about the cost and the governance of various service providers. That's on the multi-cloud. Now, quickly on the hybrid cloud, see, again, the challenge is, what is the strategy? Should I use public cloud, private cloud, or my in-house data center, right? That has always been. And again, there was an interesting survey which said on an average, organizations use right now 2 public cloud and 2 private cloud providers. So this is the complexity. Now, again, what we are seeing across various organizations is in-house data center was always, this is the most important data I need to keep in-house. I cannot cloudify that. There's the latest trend of, and again, it has been for a few months now, AWS Outpost and Azure Stack. So organizations have to critically look into these aspects of a big chunk of your in-house data center can actually be cloudified through these offerings which are coming through the cloud service providers. I mean, holistically, these are some of the trends and the areas where organizations will have to look into future.
Thanks, Sandeep. Sunil, if I may come to you, I think as an IT service provider, you've been helping all your clients across in this. So, what are some of the cutting-edge use cases that you've come across?
Thanks, Francis. Sandeep was talking about hybrid cloud and multi-cloud. So let me add a third dimension, which is the distributed cloud. Cloud is no longer that centralized large hyperscalers delivering service from their centralized data centers. Cloud is now moving to where the data and where the processing needs are. That's what is edge, right? So according to analysts, for the next 3 years, buyers will shift their cloud strategies towards the edge to capture all the innovation that's happening in the IoT and 5G space specifically. Large vendors like Dell, HP, IBM, Intel are all doubling down on the edge with cloud-like solutions, which we are referring to as distributed cloud, but that can be deployed anywhere, right? So where the data and processing needs are. So other important thing that I would like to talk about is, while there are many developments like containers and serverless and all of that, another often overlooked stuff is networking and security aspect in a cloud. Most of the people talk about the development friendly aspects of cloud, but let's also look at the cloud, how cloud also transform network and security, right? So secure access services with SASE will continue to gain adoption as organizations move past the quick response measures that they have enacted this year due to pandemic, owing to the massive and unexpected increase in remote work connectivity. The SASE, as we all know, is a network architecture what combines software-defined wide area network, software-defined WAN capabilities, and more importantly, cloud-native network security services, including zero trust network access, secure web gateways, cloud access, security brokers, and firewalls as a service. So the combination of these two, software-defined WAN, SD-WAN, and cloud-native network and security services, I think organizations are going to make use of these innovations and to drive forward their digital transformation agenda. Back to you, Francis.
Thanks, Sunil. So I think as we heard, there is while cloud is this ever powerful tool which is basically really transforming different areas of business and technology. I think there's still a certain amount of pitfalls that the inexperienced need to kind of take care of. And let's discuss some of these. What are some of the myths around cost and security? How does a company, for example, make decisions around maintenance, whether they build in-house manpower or kind of outsource things? So, Mr. Srinivas, if I were to come to you to kind of maybe shed some light on this. Srinivas, you're on mute.
There were a lot of myths, as I was talking earlier. Many companies used to think that cloud is always about only saving money, or cloud is only is too good or too bad. Cloud should always be, should we use it for everything? And a lot of things like even strategy, whatever they used to do for implementation or move to cloud, they used to think that that's a cloud strategy. I think that is also not true. And now a lot of things on security also, a lot of people used to see that cloud is not secure. Cloud is not everything what we put in data, security, privacy is not right. Cloud is easier to attack. Cloud is too easy to trust for anybody else from outside. If I use a multi-tenancy, that's a multi-cloud or multi-tenancy, am I putting my data at risk? So there were a lot of factors related to risk and the data and the data privacy, and the nuance of the cloud itself was a lot of concerns were there from many industries. As we have seen a few years back, when we used to say we want to move to the cloud, even the management board used to say, "Oh, cloud, are you sure? Is our data secured? Do we have our data is protected? Is our data shared between multiple people? Is a multi-tenancy model? Is it a public cloud? Is it too expensive?" But facts are like actually, as a couple of our panelists mentioned, if you do the proper monitoring, if you actually do proper understand the entire architecture of the cloud and the cost models, the data models, and continuously you monitor the newer things what is coming. Like say, for example, in cloud we have now a lot of models in families coming up. Every quarter, every 6 months, they keep enhancing the processors, the new processors, a new memory types. So you can actually move from one family to another family, change your processors, change the storage types. So you can bring down the cost. And they also have a lot of models of long-term reservation or a short-term use on demand basis, or a spot models where you want something with 90% discount, 80% discount available for a very short period. Yes, you can just do the auctions, use the capacity which is not used by other people and use it. You can try out a lot of things. So I think now the more, as per even the Gartner, Forrester, you take any analyst, I think almost like 30 to 40% of the industries are in cloud. And by 2025, the predictions are almost like 60 to 80% of the companies will be in cloud. So you see the massive shift from on-prem to cloud, because there are a lot of advantages also, like you can plan your BCP pretty well. You can do the fast modeling of any component or application software. You have a gamut of things available from the marketplace. If it is not provided by cloud, they're giving us a marketplace where you can choose any partner, any software, any solution, just try it out and only pay for the time you have used it, then return it back. So in that way, actually, a lot of myths are coming down. So you refer any reports, all the global reports, all the global research papers are impending that the myths are no more. Please don't trust the myths, whether it is data related, security related, or the cost related. If you monitor well, I think you'll get a fantastic results. But again, it's not the same thing that not everything can be on the cloud. So I may have a mainframes, I may have a huge storage where you're running in terabytes and petabytes. So you need to really evaluate your legacy application. What is your consumption patterns? What kind of security you need to provide in-house, external, because there could be certain applications where you cannot expose even to the cloud as per the RBI guidelines or government statutory requirements or compliances. So at any point of time, you need to look into multi-factors before taking any decision to the cloud. So it has to be aligned with your business strategy. So you need to have a cloud strategy, which is a child of your overall high-level business strategy. And it should be part of, it should align with your data strategy, security strategy, governance strategy, and the compliance strategy. So you need to take every business in. So at the time of deciding the cloud, you need to look into all these factors, the costing models, your compliance, governance, how flexibility you want, whether you're not sure of, similar to your Amazon Day or whatever, where thousands of hits come, whereas you're doing a sports streaming live, lakhs of people directly log in. So do you have these kind of applications where You are not certain, you cannot plan your loads in your on-prem. These are the very best use cases for the cloud, where you can also switch on, switch off the servers not used. Say in our practical example is also what we are currently using is we manage in a schedule basis. We save a lot of money in switching off servers, doing a lot of R&D on various instances and various platforms available in the cloud, as SaaS, PaaS, you name a thing, I think it is there. So as a nutshell, actually, now if you see, I think, yes, this is the right time. I think though everyone says it's too late, but I think the starting as the beginning, it's a great move. We really recommend, based on our experience, like, yes, cloud is one of the right platform, but again, as I said, you need to really work out, do the statistics, your strategy, your model, your cloud strategy should align with your business strategy, with the governance and compliance and security in place. Back to you, Francis.
Thanks, Mr. Srinivas. So I think you spoke a lot about the the infrastructure elements of it. Shivani, I know you manage a team internally as well as you work externally also. So maybe if you could kind of speak about the resourcing part of it in terms of people. How do you make the build versus buy decision and things like that?
Yeah. So I think you've touched upon a very raw nerve, Francis, because I think resources and infrastructure, as well as the people side of resources, is a key challenge. And if it is not managed well at this point in time, I think it can at some point, either help to accelerate, or it might actually slow down the digital transformation journey for many organizations. I think we have, from a resources perspective, we have basically taken an approach which is hybrid, right? So where we are looking at having talent who either homegrown talent getting retrained, upskilled, etc., as well as hired as well from the marketplace for some of the skill sets that are quite new. And we are also looking at partnership as a model, and then there are different flavors of partnership that we can have. One could be pure from getting a certain skill set perspective. Some of the partnerships that we're getting into are deeper to build a particular solution, co-create something together, and therefore, have a much deeper involvement from both the stakeholders. So I think that's the kind of culture and approach that we are taking. I think overall, we are also becoming much more comfortable with the fact that certain skill sets we are more comfortable with outsourcing, because probably at the moment the long-term utilization of these skills might change, realign a little bit. Also, this is a stage and in this particular industry, in this particular area, where the kind of technology you use changes every 6-12 months. Right, so you could be using, somebody spoke about multi-cloud. So when you're, let's say, working extensively on AWS, you need certain skill sets. When you're working on, let's say, similar platforms as your GCP, you might require certain different skill sets. So I think, given the fact that the longevity of some of these skill sets itself is not very clear, it makes sense to outsource some of these skills as well. So what we are basically seeing is that developing a sort of more generalistic skill set, which is able to sort of solution, stitch together, visualize the coming together of technology components, data, not necessarily with a very deep understanding of every component, because obviously that will be something that's taking a lot more time. But I think this is the skill set that it makes sense to build, because this is the skill set that will basically orchestrate and figure out what's next for the bank, what kind of decisions have to be taken, and so on. But then as I said, each individual skill necessarily need not be a part of the bank itself. So I think that's how we are evolving as a strategy. We are also seeing a lot of benefit in partnering with, in some cases, small to mid-sized firms, right? Which are, kind of therefore looking to build their own capabilities, looking for some of their first customers, first successes. And this works out very well when we are trying to build something new and experimental. On the other hand, when what we are looking for is more a standard, like Srinivas talked a lot about, workloads, migrating to the cloud, management, monitoring, all of that. So when you have very SLA-driven, tag-driven kind of activities, then having a larger partner where, project management, structure, and, these kind of things are more critical than having a larger partner is seeming to be making more sense. So I think that's also something that we are trying to get the ideal mix right. But I think, overall, as we go through this journey and solve for the problems around resources and all of that, I think like some of the co-panelists mentioned, migrating to the cloud only for the reason of cost in the long term will not make sense. Okay, I think it's going to be, all about, aligning with the business model. I think, one of the panelists spoke about that also, that it's all about what business model demands and requires. So I think multi-cloud also is because of that, because, maybe one cloud is better at something and the other cloud has better capabilities around something else. So I think it's going to be the business model trumps everything else. And as we move to the cloud more and more, it's not going to be inexpensive to manage things on the cloud, because we're going to start having governance layers that we'll have to put in. We'll have to start having monitoring that we'll put in. We'll have data security, checks and balances. We'll end up buying more components. So I don't think it's necessarily a less expensive or a more expensive model. I think it's about what's the right. I think that's what the whole narrative slowly is becoming, right? And yeah, I think it's a very exciting and interesting time to be in the space. I think every 3 months there is something completely a paradigm shift that's coming in at the big such which we are in.
Thanks, Shivani. I think, as they say, time really flies when you have a good thing going. We are almost out of time. And, I would really like to kind of, quickly conclude this, with a rapid fire round. So this round basically is, what are the top 2 takeaways in 2 quick sentences that you would have for the audience and people who are embarking on their digital transformation as well as cloud journey. So let me go around the room and, just very quick 2 sentences to a top 2 takeaways that you have for the audience. So let's start with you, Sandeep.
Thanks, Francis. And again, I would echo what Shivani said. This will only be successful, your cloud journey, if you have the right skills. So you definitely need to reskill and upskill employees, need to have a strategy around that. And you need to have and again, from a technology perspective, you need to have skills around container, Kubernetes, or automation tools like Ansible, Terraform, because this will align with your overall cloud strategy in future, which will be vendor agnostic. So you need to start building that up, and that would be a critical thing in your entire journey.
Thanks, Sandeep. Raj, 2 quick rapid fire takeaways.
Sure. I think building on lines of Srinivas and Nupur, getting the right digital and the business strategy, which in line then falls to the solution strategy, and start small, but get it right. Do not go for these adoptions without the relevant business impacts or the ROI, and always think of an interconnected and a value-based outcome. So without that, you should not be thinking about it.
Thanks, Raj. Sunil, your perspective as a service provider?
Yeah, don't carry your on-prem mindset to cloud is the first thing that I would say. Again, in continuation to that is don't recreate your on-prem setup in the cloud. A third thing, more importantly, what we have seen is automation in cloud. The extent of automation in cloud is actually drives the potential benefits that cloud has to offer. So don't let cloud automation be an afterthought. Design and plan for automation from the very beginning of your cloud journey. Back to you, Francis.
Thanks. Nupur, 2 quick rapid fire takeaways.
Yeah. I would say, people are enthusiastic about cloud. Definitely, everybody should move to cloud, but we should always have the strategy in place. Otherwise, hurrying into it and without any planning would only disrupt the entire thing. This is one thing. Another is we should not be forgetting the security at all, even though we are moving into cloud, but always the security should be the top priority for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Nupur. Srinivas, what would you say as your top 2 takeaways for the audience?
Yeah, just don't start the cloud journey because your CEO or board members said, yes, you have to move to cloud. Have a business strategy in line with cloud strategy should be in line with it. Try small, fail fast. But I think you should also understand the cloud architectures and the way every cloud model works. Otherwise, if you're jumping into just because somebody said they have moved to cloud and you're forced by your management or yourself without understanding the architecture, costing models, database models or storage models, data flow models, you're jumping, you might end up in either losing your data security, missing in security part, or you may end up in losing, spending much more cost than what you're spending in on-prem. So understanding architecture, understanding the cloud model is very important, and please be aligned with your business strategy and business outcomes.
Thank you. I think look before you leap is always great advice. So before we conclude, maybe the last 2 takeaways from Shivani.
I think it's use case first. The business logic, the numbers, the business sense of it first, and then how cloud will aid that. That's the key thing that we need to be clear about. And it is not necessary that cloud will always be better. I think it's about what will work in a particular situation. So I think that's one key thing. Second, I think releasing friction that might be there in the initial 12 to 15 months of cloud adoption. When we keep talking a lot about experimentation, we have to actually make that experimentation really seamless. The teams that are trying to play around with some of the services on the cloud. So this 12 to 15 months, creating that right first impression about cloud and really giving a very easy access and maybe the right kind of training enablement will actually probably be the right first step so that people don't get negative about it, and therefore then the entire process then gets balanced out that way. I think the first 12-15 months giving that frictionless access enablement is super critical.
Thanks Shivani. And there you have it, folks. I think it has certainly been a very engaging and a learning session. I certainly learned a lot. I hope you did too. And with this, we can kind of conclude the session. Thank you so much once again, all the panelists, for taking time out and having this conversation with us. And thank you, audience, more than ever, to listening to us patiently. Thank you. Over to you, Kavi.
Thank you very much indeed, Francis, for that wonderful moderation. I think it was just the right session we needed this afternoon. And thank you indeed to all our panelists for joining us and for also sharing your nuggets of insights with us. Thank you very much for joining us at the conference.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we call it a wrap to another interesting session, and see you all in the next session starting in just a couple of seconds.